Hello there, and welcome to a space designed specifically for you. Imagine for a moment that you are standing in a coffee shop. The smell of roasted beans fills the air, and people are chatting quietly around you. You are next in line. You know exactly what you want to order. You have said the sentence in your head a dozen times, but when the barista looks at you and asks what you would like, your mind goes blank. Your heart beats faster, and you stumble over the words. Has this ever happened to you? If it has, please know that you are not alone, because this is a feeling almost every language learner knows well. It is not because you do not know the English words. It is simply because your mouth and your brain have not built the bridge of confidence yet. I am your host, Alex, and you are listening to English in Fluency. Today we are going to build that bridge together. We are going to slow down and focus on a very special topic titled B1 English Listening Practice, Building English Confidence Through Repetition. We are going to discover why repeating the same simple phrases is actually the secret to speaking fluently and without fear. This is not just about memorizing. This is about training your muscles and your mind to relax. Before we dive into our stories and practice today, I have a small favor to ask. If you want to support this channel and ensure you never miss a lesson that can change your English journey, please take a moment to subscribe to English in Fluency right now. It really helps us grow and reach more students like you. Let's begin by talking about how we learn skills. Think about a musician. When a guitarist learns a new song, they do not play it perfectly the first time. They play the same chords over and over again. At first, their fingers hurt. They make mistakes. They look at their hands constantly. But after 100 times, something magical happens. They stop looking at their hands. They stop thinking about where to put their fingers. They just play. The music flows out of them naturally. This is what we call muscle memory. Speaking English works exactly the same way. You need your mouth to remember the shape of the words so that your brain can relax. To understand this better, I want to tell you a story about a man named Leo. Leo was a kind man who lived in a small, quiet town. He had a dream of becoming a great baker. He wanted to make the perfect loaf of bread. The first time Leo tried to bake, it was a disaster. He used too much flour. The oven was too hot. The bread came out hard as a rock and burnt on the bottom. Leo felt terrible. He thought he was just not talented. He thought about giving up. But Leo decided to try one more time. The next day, he followed the same recipe. It was a little better, but still not great. Leo did not change the recipe. He did not look for a more complicated bread to bake. He stuck to the simple white loaf. He baked it again on Tuesday. He baked it again on Wednesday. By the second week, Leo did not need to look at the recipe book anymore. He knew exactly how the dough should feel in his hands. He knew exactly how the yeast smelled when it was ready. By the end of the month, Leo could bake a perfect golden loaf of bread while talking to his friend on the phone. He didn't have to think about the baking. He just did it. Leo's story is your story with English. Right now, you might feel like you are looking at the recipe book every time you speak. You are thinking about grammar rules, vocabulary, and pronunciation all at the same time. It is exhausting. But if you repeat the same structures, just like Leo baked the same bread, eventually you will stop thinking. You will just speak. Repetition takes the stress away. When you hear a phrase many times, it becomes a part of you. Let's practice this concept right now. I am going to say a sentence. I want you to listen carefully. Then, I will say it again, and I want you to say it out loud or in your head. Are you ready? Here is the sentence. I am getting better every single day. Listen again. I am getting better every single day. Now, try to say it. I am getting better every single day. How did that feel? Let's try it one more time, with a little more confidence. I am getting better every single day. When you say this, do not just read the words. Feel the meaning. Now, let me introduce you to another character. Her name is Elena. Elena moved to a new city where everyone spoke English. She was very shy. Elena was afraid of making mistakes, so she stayed quiet. She would go to the grocery store and use the self-checkout machine just to avoid talking to the cashier. She felt lonely because she wanted to make friends, but her fear was a wall she could not climb. One day, Elena decided she wanted to join a local art class. She loved painting. She walked to the art studio 3 times, but she never went inside. She was too scared to ask for information. Finally, Elena decided to use the power of repetition. At home, in front of her mirror, she practiced one simple conversation. She imagined walking into the studio. She looked at herself in the mirror and said, "Hi, I would like to join the class." She said it again. "Hi, I would like to join the class." She felt silly at first, but she did it 10 times. Then she did it 20 times. The next day, she walked to the studio. Her heart was beating fast, but her mouth knew what to do. She walked in, looked at the receptionist, and the words just came out. "Hi, I would like to join the class." She didn't have to think. Her practice had built the bridge. This is what we are doing here at English in Fluency. We are practicing in the mirror together, so that when you go out into the real world, you are ready. You see, confidence is not a personality trait that you are born with. Confidence is simply the result of preparation. When you are prepared, you are confident. Repetition is the best form of preparation. Let's try another practice session, inspired by Elena's story. Imagine you need to ask for help, but you want to be polite. Listen to this phrase. Could you please help me with this? Listen again. Could you please help me with this? Now, I want you to repeat it. Focus on the rhythm. English has a music to it. It goes up and down. Could you please help me with this? Try to say it smoothly, connecting the words together. Could you please help me with this? Excellent. By saying this repeatedly, you are programming your brain to access this phrase instantly when you need it. Now I want to talk about the deeper emotion of learning. It is frustrating to feel like an adult in your native language, but like a child in English. In your own language, you are funny, you are smart, and you can express complex ideas. In English, you might feel limited. This gap between who you are and how you speak can make you feel sad. But repetition is the key to closing that gap. When you master the basics through repetition, you build a strong foundation. You cannot build a tall house on weak ground. B1 level English is that foundation. It is the ground on which you will build your fluency. Think about a river. When water flows over rocks for a long time, it smooths them out. The water is soft, but because it flows over the same path day after day, year after year, it changes the shape of the hard stone. Your practice is the water. The difficulties of English are the rocks. You do not need to be forceful or aggressive. You just need to be consistent. You need to keep flowing. A little bit of practice, repeated often, is more powerful than studying for 5 hours once a month. Let's go back to our friend Leo, the baker. After he mastered the simple white bread, do you know what he did? He didn't stop baking. He started adding seeds. He started making different shapes. But he could only do that because he mastered the basic dough first. Many students try to use complex words and complicated grammar before they are comfortable with the simple things. They try to bake a wedding cake before they can bake a loaf of bread. This leads to frustration. I want you to give yourself permission to be simple. It is okay to use simple words. It is okay to repeat the same sentence structure. Clarity is more important than complexity. I want to share a technique with you called shadowing. Shadowing is a very effective way to use repetition. It means you listen to a speaker and you try to say the words at the exact same time as them, like a shadow following a body. You mimic their speed, their emotion, and their pauses. Let's try a very short shadowing exercise now. I will say a sentence slowly. I want you to say it with me at the same time. Here is the sentence. I am learning to trust my own voice. Ready? Let's go together. I am learning to trust my own voice. Let's do it again. I am learning to trust my own voice. Did you notice how you had to listen and speak at once? This forces your brain to focus completely. It stops you from translating in your head. When you translate from your native language to English, you are always one step behind. But when you repeat and shadow, you are thinking in English. This is the ultimate goal. We want to bypass the translation center of your brain and go straight to the speaking center. Let's consider the emotional journey of Elena again. After she joined the art class, she made a friend named Sarah. Sarah was friendly and talkative. Elena mostly listened. She noticed that Sarah often used the same phrases to agree with people. Sarah would say, "That is so true," or "Exactly, I agree." Elena realized she didn't need 1,000 new words to participate in the conversation. She just needed a few strong phrases she could rely on. So, Elena picked one phrase. "That is so true." She waited for the right moment. When Sarah said something about the weather, Elena smiled and said, "That is so true." It worked. The conversation continued. Elena felt a spark of joy. She realized she was part of the group. This brings us to a very important point. You do not need to have a large vocabulary to be fluent. Fluency is the ability to keep the conversation flowing. It is better to know 100 phrases perfectly than to know 1,000 words that you cannot use in a sentence. This is why we focus on B1 level listening. We are focusing on the most common, most useful parts of the language. I want to give you another set of phrases to practice. These are what I call filler phrases. These are the phrases you can use when you need a moment to think. They stop the silence from becoming awkward. Listen to this one. That is an interesting question. Let me think. Listen again. That is an interesting question. Let me think. Now you try it. Imagine someone asked you something difficult. You need time. Don't panic. Just say, "That is an interesting question. Let me think." By having this phrase ready in your pocket, you buy yourself time. You stay calm. Let's do another one. This one is for when you didn't hear what someone said. Instead of just saying, "What?" which can sound rude, we can be more polite. Listen to this. "I am sorry. Could you say that again?" Listen closely to the intonation. "I am sorry. Could you say that again?" Now repeat it. "I am sorry. Could you say that again?" If you practice this 50 times at home, you will never be afraid of not understanding someone. You will know exactly how to handle the situation. You are building your toolkit. As we continue our deep dive, I want you to think about driving a car. When you first learn to drive, everything is overwhelming. You have to look at the mirrors, hold the steering wheel, check your speed, and watch the other cars. It feels like there is too much information. You might feel tense. Your hands might grip the wheel too tightly. But think about a driver who has been driving for 10 years. They can drive, listen to the radio, and talk to a passenger all at the same time. They are not smarter than the new driver. They just have experience. Their brain has automated the process. Speaking English is exactly like driving. Right now, you might be looking at the mirrors and the steering wheel of grammar and vocabulary. We want to get you to the point where you are just enjoying the ride. To do this, we need to talk about something called chunks. Imagine you are building a house with Lego bricks. If you have to find every single tiny brick one by one, it takes a long time to build a wall. But what if you had bricks that were already stuck together in groups of 3 or 4? You could build the wall much faster. In English, we call these groups chunks or collocations. These are words that naturally live together. Native speakers do not speak word by word. They speak chunk by chunk. Let's look at an example. Think of the phrase, "I am looking forward to it." This is a very common way to say you are excited about something in the future. A student who tries to translate this word by word might get confused. They might think about the verb look and the direction forward. It is too much thinking. But if you learn, "I am looking forward to it," as one single sound, like one big Lego brick, you can use it instantly. Let's practice this specific chunk right now. I want you to imagine you are meeting a friend next week. You want to tell them you are happy about it. Listen to the rhythm. "I am looking forward to it." Notice how the words connect. Looking and forward almost sound like one word. Listen again. "I am looking forward to it." Now you say it. "I am looking forward to it." Let's try it again. "I am looking forward to it." By memorizing the chunk, you save your brain energy. You don't have to think about grammar. You just use the block. Now, I would like to introduce you to a new character named Marco. Marco was a young professional who was very good at his job in IT. He could read English manuals easily. He could write emails perfectly. But Marco had a secret fear. He was terrified of the telephone. When his phone rang at work and he saw an international number, his stomach would hurt. He would let it go to voicemail. He was afraid because on the phone he couldn't see the person's face. He couldn't see their lips moving. He felt blind. Marco's fear is very common. The telephone removes all the visual clues we rely on. So, Marco decided he needed a plan. He realized that most phone calls follow a script. They usually start the same way and end the same way. So, Marco wrote down a cheat sheet and taped it to his computer monitor. On this sheet, he wrote 3 phrases. He promised himself that the next time the phone rang, he would just read the phrases. He didn't need to be creative. He just needed to survive the call. The first phrase on Marco's list was for answering the phone professionally. It was simply, "Hello, this is Marco speaking. How can I help you?" He read this out loud every morning before work started. "Hello, this is Marco speaking. How can I help you?" He said it until it felt boring. Being bored is good. Being bored means you are comfortable. One Tuesday, the phone rang. Marco took a deep breath. He looked at his paper. He picked up the phone and said, "Hello, this is Marco speaking. How can I help you?" The person on the other end answered, and the conversation began. Marco realized he had survived the hardest part, the beginning. Let's practice Marco's phrase. It is professional and polite. Listen carefully. "Hello, this is Marco speaking. How can I help you?" Now, obviously, your name is not Marco. I want you to insert your own name. I will say Alex, but you say your name. Ready? "Hello, this is Alex speaking. How can I help you?" Try it again. Use your real voice. "Hello, this is Alex speaking. How can I help you?" Excellent. Having a standard way to start a conversation prevents you from freezing. Now, let's practice a phrase for when you need to end a call, but you want to be polite. Maybe the other person talks too much, or you are busy. You can use a chunk for this too. Listen to this. "Thank you for calling. I appreciate your time." It is firm but kind. Listen again. "Thank you for calling. I appreciate your time." Now you try it. Imagine you are hanging up the phone. "Thank you for calling. I appreciate your time." By practicing these chunks, you are building a safety net. If you fall, the net will catch you. There is another challenge that many B1 learners face. It is called the intermediate plateau. A plateau is a flat area at the top of a climb. When you are a beginner, you learn very fast. Every day you learn a new word like apple or dog or run. You feel like you are climbing a mountain quickly. But when you reach the intermediate level, progress feels slower. You might study for a week and feel like you haven't learned anything new. You might feel stuck. This is the plateau. I want to tell you about Sophia to explain this. Sophia was a runner. When she started running, she got faster every week. She was so happy. But after a year, she stopped getting faster. She ran every day, but her time was exactly the same. Sophia got angry. She thought, "Why am I working so hard for no result?" She almost quit running, but her coach told her something important. He said, "Sophia, you are not stuck. Your body is changing on the inside. You are building endurance. You are making your heart stronger. The speed will come later." Sophia trusted her coach. She kept running. She didn't get faster for 3 months. But then, suddenly, in one race, she broke her personal record by 2 minutes. It happened all at once. Language learning is just like Sophia's running. When you feel stuck, you are actually consolidating. Your brain is organizing all the English you have learned. It is moving information from the temporary storage to the permanent storage. You are building the endurance to speak for longer. So, if you feel stuck right now, please do not stop. The breakthrough is coming. It might be next week or next month, but it is coming. To help you through the plateau, we need to focus on active listening. Passive listening is when you let the sounds wash over you, like music. That is good for relaxation. But active listening is when you act like a detective. You are hunting for specific things. Let's try an active listening exercise. I am going to tell you a very short story about a lost key. I want you to listen for the prepositions. I want you to hunt for words like on, under, in, and behind. Are you ready to be a detective? Here is the story. I came home and looked for my keys. They were not in my pocket. I looked on the table, but they were not there. I checked under the sofa. Nothing. Finally, I found them. They were hiding behind the flower pot. Did you catch them? Let's go through it again. In my pocket. on the table, under the sofa, behind the flower pot. By focusing on these small words, you sharpen your ears. You stop worrying about understanding the whole universe, and you focus on the details. Let's practice saying these location phrases. Repetition helps the grammar stick. Repeat after me. They were in my pocket. Good. Now, they were on the table. Excellent. They were under the sofa. One more. They were behind the flower pot. When you practice these simple structures, you are fixing the map of English in your mind. Now, let's address the fear of judgment. This is a big emotional block. We often think, if I make a mistake, people will think I am stupid. I want to be very honest with you. Most people are not thinking about you. They are thinking about themselves. They are thinking about their lunch, their work, or their own problems. When you speak with an accent or make a grammar mistake, they usually just want to understand your message. They are not grading you. You are not in an exam. You are in a human connection. Let's imagine a character named Lucas. Lucas loved to travel. He went to London. He wanted to ask for directions to the train station. He stood on the street corner for 10 minutes, watching people pass by. He rehearsed the sentence in his head. "Excuse me, where is the station?" Perfectly. But he was afraid to say it. Finally, he saw an old man who looked kind. Lucas stopped him and said, "Station? Where?" He forgot his perfect sentence. He just said 2 words. "Station. Where?" Do you know what the old man did? Did he laugh? No. Did he say, "Your grammar is bad"? No. He smiled, pointed down the street, and said, "It is straight ahead, son." Lucas got the information he needed. He realized that communication is about connection, not perfection. Station. Where? Was enough. It was successful communication. We can practice a phrase that helps you when you forget a word. It happens to everyone, even native speakers. Sometimes the word just disappears. Instead of freezing, you could describe the word. We call this circumlocution. It is a fancy word for talking around it. Imagine you forget the word for umbrella. You are standing in a shop. It is raining outside, and you need one. You can't remember umbrella, so you say, "I need the thing that stops the rain." That is perfect English. You are describing the function. Let's practice a phrase that introduces this description. The phrase is, "I forgot the word, but it is the thing that..." Listen again. I forgot the word, but it is the thing that... Now you try it. I forgot the word, but it is the thing that... Let's use it in a sentence. Imagine you forget the word for fridge. You say, "I forgot the word, but it is the thing that keeps food cold." Try saying that. I forgot the word, but it is the thing that keeps food cold. This skill is a superpower. It means you can never be silenced. Even if you don't know the vocabulary, you can explain your meaning. You are resourceful. As we move forward, I want to talk about the power of your own voice. Many people hate hearing their own voice recorded. It sounds strange. It sounds higher than you think. But recording yourself is the fastest way to improve pronunciation. When you speak, the sound vibrates in your skull, so you hear it differently than the world hears it. When you record yourself and listen back, you hear the truth. I challenge you to do this today. Take your phone. Open the voice recorder app. Record yourself saying 3 sentences about your day. Just 3 sentences. Today I woke up early. I drank coffee. I am listening to a podcast. Then, play it back. Listen to the rhythm. Do not judge yourself. Just observe. Oh, I said coffee very clearly. Or, I need to work on the I-E-thish sound in listening. Be a scientist studying your own voice. Let's do a final repetition practice for this section, focusing on the future. We want to program your brain to look forward with hope. The phrase is, I am excited to see my progress. Listen to the emotion in the word excited. I am excited to see my progress. Now you say it. Put a smile on your face when you say it, because your physical expression changes your voice. Smile and say, I am excited to see my progress. One more time, loud and clear. I am excited to see my progress. We have already covered so much, but we have one more giant to face, the fast speaker. You have all met this monster. You are feeling good. You are ready to speak. And then the native speaker opens their mouth and the words fly out like bullets from a machine gun. It is so fast that you cannot hear where one word ends and the next begins. You panic. Your brain shuts down. You just nod your head and smile, pretending to understand, but inside, you feel lost. This is a terrible feeling, but I have good news for you. You can control the speed of the conversation. You have the remote control. You just need to learn how to press the slow motion button. Let me tell you a story about a man named Julian. Julian worked at a tourist information center in a busy city. Every day, hundreds of tourists came to his desk. Some were from America, some from Australia, some from Scotland. They all spoke very fast English. At first, Julian tried to match their speed. He tried to listen faster. But this only gave him a headache. He would go home exhausted every night, feeling like he was fighting a war. One day, Julian realized he was looking at the situation the wrong way. He thought he had to change himself to fit the tourists, but actually, he needed to ask the tourists to change for him. He developed a phrase that was polite but firm. He didn't just say, I don't understand. He said, I want to give you the correct information. So could you please speak a little slower? By adding the reason, I want to give you the correct information, people were happy to slow down. They realized that speaking slowly helped them get what they wanted. Julian took control. He stopped being a victim of speed and became the conductor of the conversation. Let's practice Julian's technique. This is a very useful tool for your toolkit. We are going to practice a phrase that is polite but effective. Listen to this. Would you mind speaking a little slower, please? Listen to the intonation. It goes up at the end to be polite. Would you mind speaking a little slower, please? Now, I want you to say it. Imagine someone is talking too fast. Put your hand up gently in your mind. Say, would you mind speaking a little slower, please? Let's try it again. Would you mind speaking a little slower, please? Sometimes you understand the words, but you need a moment to process them. You need to buy time. You can use a check-in phrase. You can say, just to make sure I understand, you said, and then repeat what you heard. This does two things. First, it confirms the information. Second, it forces the other person to stop talking and listen to you. It slows the energy down. Let's practice this opening. Just to make sure I understand, listen again. Just to make sure I understand. Now you say it. Just to make sure I understand. This phrase puts you in the driver's seat. Now, let's move to another powerful secret. The person asking the questions controls the conversation. Think about a game of tennis. If you have the ball, you are in control. In a conversation, the question is the ball. If you are always answering questions, you are on the defense. You are working hard to find answers, checking your grammar, and worrying about your vocabulary. But if you ask the question, the other person has to do the work. They have to talk. You can relax and listen. I want to introduce you to Nadia. Nadia was invited to a dinner party with her husband's colleagues. She was very nervous because she thought her English was too basic for politics or business discussions. She was afraid she would sit there in silence like a statue. But Nadia had a plan. She decided she would be the best interviewer in the room. When she sat down next to a stranger, she didn't wait for them to ask her about her job. She immediately asked, "How do you know the host?" The stranger started telling a long story. Nadia listened and smiled. When the stranger finished, Nadia didn't start talking about herself. She asked a follow-up question. She asked, "That is fascinating. How long have you been friends?" The stranger talked for another 10 minutes. By the end of the night, everyone told Nadia's husband, "Your wife is so charming. She is so easy to talk to." Nadia had spoken very little. She just asked the right questions. She used the tennis ball to her advantage. She realized that people love to talk about themselves. If you give them the chance, they will think you are a fantastic conversationalist, even if your grammar is imperfect. Let's practice some of Nadia's magic questions. These are questions you can use in almost any social situation. The first one is simple, but powerful. How long have you lived here? Listen to the rhythm. How long have you lived here? Now you try it. Imagine you are at a party. Turn to the person next to you. How long have you lived here? Good. Let's try another one. This is for when someone tells you about their job. You can say, "What is your favorite part of your work?" This is a positive question. It makes people feel good. Listen again. What is your favorite part of your work? Now repeat it. What is your favorite part of your work? By asking this, you are showing interest. You are building a connection. And most importantly, you are taking the pressure off yourself to speak perfect paragraphs. Now, I want to shift gears and talk about your environment. You might think that you cannot learn English because you don't live in an English-speaking country. You might think, "I live in Brazil," or "I live in Japan," or "I live in France, so I cannot have immersion." This is a myth. You do not need a plane ticket to have immersion. You can build an English island right in your own bedroom. Let me tell you about Tariq. Tariq lived in a small village where nobody spoke English, not a single person. But Tariq wanted to work for an international company. So, he changed his digital life. He changed the language on his phone to English. He changed his GPS navigation to English. When he drove his car, the voice said, "Turn left," instead of his native language. He put sticky notes on his mirror that said, "You are capable," in English. He listened to English radio while he cooked dinner. Tariq created a bubble. For 2 hours a day, inside his house, he was in London. He was in New York. He normalized the language. After 6 months, when he finally had a job interview in English, he didn't feel strange hearing the language. It felt like home. It felt like his kitchen. You can do this too. It starts with small changes. Let's practice a phrase that Tariq used to tell himself every morning. It is a phrase of determination. I am creating my own opportunity. Listen to the strength in that sentence. I am creating my own opportunity. Now, I want you to say it. Believe it. I am creating my own opportunity. Say it again. I am creating my own opportunity. No one is going to give it to you. You have to build it, like Tariq did. We also need to talk about the trap of translation. When we listen, we often try to translate every word into our native language to understand it. This is a very heavy mental load. It is like carrying a backpack full of rocks while you run. You get tired very quickly. We want to drop the backpack. We want to understand the meaning, not the words. Imagine you see a red traffic light. You do not think, "Oh, that is the color red. Red means stop. I must press the brake." No, you just stop. The meaning is instant. We want English to be like that red light. When you hear "thank you," you shouldn't translate it. You should just feel the gratitude. To practice this, we need to focus on images, not text. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. I am going to say a word. Do not translate the word. Just see the picture in your mind. Ready? Apple. Did you see a red fruit? Or did you see the word in your language? Try to see the fruit. Ocean. See the blue water. Hear the waves. Running. See a person moving fast. Now, open your eyes. This is how babies learn. They connect the sound to the image. When you practice listening, try to visualize the story like a movie. Do not read the subtitles in your head. Watch the movie. Let's practice a sentence that describes an image. I want you to visualize this as you say it. The sun is shining on the water. Can you see it? The bright light, the blue water. Now say the sentence. The sun is shining on the water. Do not translate. Just paint the picture with your voice. The sun is shining on the water. This is how we break the translation habit. We connect English directly to reality. We are getting closer to the B1 mastery level. B1 is where you become independent. It is where you can travel alone and survive. It is a beautiful place to be. But to stay there, you need to be comfortable with not knowing everything. You need to be comfortable with ambiguity. Ambiguity means things are not clear. Maybe you only understood 70% of what someone said. A beginner panics and says, "I don't understand." An intermediate learner says, "I understood 70%, and that is enough to continue." Let's look at a character named Priya. Priya loved reading English books, but she had a bad habit. Every time she saw a word she didn't know, she stopped. She opened her dictionary. She wrote it down. It took her 1 hour to read one page. She hated reading. It was work, not fun. Then she decided to try a new rule, the 80% rule. She told herself, "If I understand the main story, I will not stop." She started reading a mystery novel. She saw words like gloomy and shattered. She didn't know them, but she understood that the man was sad and the window was broken. She kept reading. She finished the book in a week. She felt so proud. And guess what? By seeing gloomy 5 times in the story, she guessed what it meant. She learned from context. She learned naturally. I want you to adopt the 80% rule for your listening. If you are listening to this podcast and you miss a word, let it go. Imagine the word is a leaf floating down a river. Just watch it go. Do not jump in the river to catch it. Stay on the boat. Stay with the flow of the story. Let's practice a phrase that helps you accept this. I am focusing on the big picture. This is your mantra when you get stuck on a detail. Listen again. I am focusing on the big picture. Now you say it. I am focusing on the big picture. Let go of the small details. I am focusing on the big picture. This attitude will save you so much stress. It will make English fun again. Now, I want to do something a little different. I want to practice emotional English. Usually, textbooks teach you robot English. The book is on the table. The sky is blue. But human beings are emotional creatures. We use language to express joy, frustration, surprise, and love. If you can use emotional phrases, you will sound much more natural. You will sound like a person, not a textbook. Let's practice expressing relief. Imagine you lost your wallet, and then you found it. You breathe out. You say, "Oh, thank goodness." Listen to the sound. It is a sigh. "Oh, thank goodness." Now you try it. Put some feeling into it. You found your wallet. "Oh, thank goodness." Now, let's practice expressing empathy. Your friend tells you they had a bad day. You don't want to just say, "That is bad." You want to connect. You say, "I am so sorry to hear that." Soften your voice. Show you care. "I am so sorry to hear that." Now you try. "I am so sorry to hear that." These emotional markers are the glue of conversation. They make people want to talk to you because you make them feel heard. I want to start the final leg of our journey with a concept that often scares students. It is the idea of maintenance. Many people think that learning English is like climbing a mountain, and once you reach the top, you can just sit down and relax forever. But English is not a mountain. English is a garden. If you plant a beautiful garden and then you stop watering it, what happens? The flowers fade. The weeds grow. It doesn't disappear overnight, but it slowly loses its beauty. Your fluency is a living thing. It needs water. It needs sunlight. But the good news is, you don't need to spend hours gardening every day. You just need to water it a little bit. Let me tell you the story of Robert to explain this. Robert was a man who retired from his job at 65. He had always wanted to learn English, but he told himself he was too old. He thought his brain was like dry concrete, hard and impossible to change. He thought language learning was only for children. But one day, his grandson moved to Canada, and Robert wanted to visit him. He didn't want to rely on a translator. So, Robert made a simple rule for himself. He called it the coffee rule. Every morning, Robert drank a cup of coffee. He decided that he would study English only while he drank his coffee. That was it. 15 minutes. He didn't study at night. He didn't study on weekends. Just 15 minutes every morning with his coffee. At first, he learned just one word a day. Then he learned a phrase. Because he did it every single day without fail, the compound effect kicked in. After 1 year, Robert had studied for more than 90 hours. That is like taking an intensive university course. When he finally went to Canada, he could order his food, ask for directions, and talk to his grandson. He proved that consistency is far more powerful than intensity. It is better to study for 15 minutes every day than for 5 hours once a week. Let's practice a phrase that Robert used to motivate himself. It is a promise to yourself. I can find 15 minutes today. Listen to it. It is simple, but it is a commitment. I can find 15 minutes today. Now you say it. Tell yourself the truth. I can find 15 minutes today. Whether it is in the shower, or on the bus, or waiting for water to boil. I can find 15 minutes today. By saying this, you destroy the excuse of, I don't have time. Everyone has 15 minutes. Now, I want to teach you a technique called narration. This is how you can practice speaking even when you are completely alone. You simply narrate your life. You describe what you are doing as you are doing it. It sounds a little crazy, but it works. When you are washing your hands, you say out loud, I am washing my hands. The water is warm. I am using soap. You are connecting the physical action with the English words. This creates a very strong memory link. Let's practice this right now with a common action. Imagine you are putting on your shoes. I want you to say, I am putting on my shoes. Listen to the verb, putting on. I am putting on my shoes. Now you say it. I am putting on my shoes. Now imagine you are opening a door. Say, I am opening the door. I am opening the door. If you do this for 1 week, narrating your morning routine, you will never forget those words. You will own them. We have covered so much ground today, and I think it is time for the grand review. We are going to bring back the most powerful phrases from our entire session. We are going to practice them one last time to make sure they are locked deep inside your long-term memory. This is the repetition that builds confidence. Are you ready to revisit our old friends? Let's go back to the beginning. Remember Leo, the baker? He taught us that we don't need to be perfect immediately. We just need to keep baking. Let's practice his affirmation again. I am getting better every single day. Feel the truth of it now, after all this practice. I am getting better every single day. Say it with pride. I am getting better every single day. Now remember Marco and the telephone. He taught us not to fear the silence. He gave us the toolkit to start a conversation professionally. Let's practice his opening line. Hello, this is Alex speaking. How can I help you? Remember to use your name. Hello, this is your name speaking. How can I help you? Say it with authority. You are the boss of that phone call. Hello, this is your name speaking. How can I help you? And do not forget Julian, who taught us how to control the speed of the fast speakers. He gave us the remote control. Let's practice pressing the slow motion button. Would you mind speaking a little slower, please? Be polite, but be firm. Would you mind speaking a little slower, please? Remember, you are asking for help so you can be a better listener. That is a strength, not a weakness. Finally, remember the filler phrases that buy us time to think. That is an interesting question. Let me think. Say it one more time. That is an interesting question. Let me think. Feel how that phrase creates a calm space around you. You don't have to rush. You have time. As we move toward the conclusion of this extensive practice, I want to talk about your identity. This is the deepest level of change. Many people walk around with a label on their forehead that says, English student. When you identify as a student, you are always trying to learn. You are always in a position of not knowing. I want you to rip that label off. I want you to put a new label on your forehead that says English speaker. An English speaker is not someone who knows every word in the dictionary. An English speaker is simply someone who uses English to communicate. If you say, hello, you are an English speaker. If you say, thank you, you are an English speaker. The moment you open your mouth, you are doing it. You are not trying to be a speaker. You are being one. This shift in mindset changes everything. It gives you permission to make mistakes, because even native speakers make mistakes. It gives you permission to be imperfect, because communication is messy. Let's practice an affirmation of identity. I want you to stand up tall if you can. If you are sitting, sit up straight. Open your chest. I want you to say, I am an English speaker. Listen to the power in those words. I am an English speaker. Do not whisper it. Say it to the room. I am an English speaker. Say it again. I am an English speaker. Do you feel the difference? You are not asking for permission. You are stating a fact. Now, we are going to leave the classroom and the safe practice environment. We are going to step into high-pressure situations. We are going to talk about job interviews, medical emergencies, and telling stories at parties. These are the moments when our adrenaline spikes and our brains often freeze. But with the right preparation and repetition, you can navigate these storms with calm confidence. Let's start with one of the most stressful situations for any person, in any language: the job interview. When you interview in English, you feel like you are being judged twice, once for your skills and once for your language. This double pressure can make you forget everything you know. But the secret to a great interview is structure. You do not need to memorize 1,000 answers. You just need to master a few key structures that work for almost every question. I want to introduce you to a character named Daniel. Daniel was a talented graphic designer. He had a portfolio full of beautiful work. He applied for a job at an international agency. He got an interview, but he was terrified of the first question. "Tell me about yourself." Daniel used to ramble. He would talk about his childhood, his dog, his hobbies, and then get lost. He didn't know when to stop. He realized he needed a map. So he learned the past, present, future formula. It is very simple. You say one sentence about your past experience, one sentence about your current situation, and one sentence about what you want for the future. When the interviewer asked Daniel, "Tell me about yourself," he took a deep breath. He didn't panic. He followed his map. He said, "I have worked as a designer for 5 years. Currently, I am specializing in digital branding. In the future, I want to lead a creative team for big projects." It was clean. It was clear. The interviewer was impressed not just by his English, but by his clarity. Daniel didn't use complicated words. He used a solid structure. Let's practice this past, present, future formula right now. Even if you are not looking for a job, this is a great way to introduce yourself to anyone. We will practice the future part first, because that shows ambition. Listen to this phrase. "In the future, I am looking to expand my skills." Listen to the rhythm. "In the future, I am looking to expand my skills." Now you say it. Imagine you are sitting across from a hiring manager. Look them in the eye. "In the future, I am looking to expand my skills." Let's try the present part. Currently, I am focusing on... Fill in the blank with your job or hobby. Currently, I am focusing on improving my English. Say that. Currently, I am focusing on improving my English. By having these chunks ready, you never have to wonder, what should I say next? You just follow the map. Now, let's move to a different kind of pressure. A medical situation. This is something we hope never happens, but we must be prepared for it. When you are sick or in pain, it is very hard to speak a second language. Your brain is focused on the pain. I want to tell you about Maria. Maria was on her dream vacation in New York. On the 3rd day, she woke up with a terrible toothache. Her face was swollen. She had to go to a dentist. Maria was scared. She didn't know the specific word for molar or root canal. She thought the dentist wouldn't understand her. But Maria remembered a lesson about simple descriptions. She realized she didn't need the medical term. She just needed to point and describe the feeling. She walked into the dentist's office. She pointed to her jaw and said, "I have a sharp pain here. It hurts when I drink cold water." That was it. The dentist understood immediately. He didn't need her to be a doctor. He just needed the symptoms. Maria learned that in an emergency, simple is safe. Let's practice some essential health phrases. These are phrases you should keep in your emergency kit. The first one is for pain. We use the structure, I have a pain in my... Listen to it. I have a pain in my back. I have a pain in my stomach. Now you try it. Imagine your head hurts. Say, I have a pain in my head. Now, let's practice describing the feeling. Is it a sharp pain? Is it a dull ache? Let's practice. It feels dizzy. This is important if you feel like you might fall. Listen. I feel a little dizzy. Now you say it. Take a breath. I feel a little dizzy. Knowing you can say this gives you a sense of security when you travel. You know you can get help if you need it. There is another concept I want to teach you called the power of the pause. Many B1 learners are afraid of silence. They think that if they stop talking for 1 second, they have failed. So they fill the air with and ah. They speak faster than they can think, and then they make mistakes. But if you listen to confident native speakers like Barack Obama or Steve Jobs, you will notice something. They pause. They pause for a long time. Silence is not weakness. Silence is control. Silence gives your brain time to find the right word. Let's practice pausing. I am going to ask you a question. I want you to wait for 3 full seconds before you answer. Count in your head. 1, 2, 3. Then speak. The question is, what is your favorite food? Wait. 1, 2, 3. Now answer. My favorite food is... Did you feel the difference? In those 3 seconds, you could prepare your grammar. You could calm your heart. The listener waits for you. They actually listen more closely when you pause, because it sounds like you are thinking deeply. Now, let's talk about social storytelling. We all want to be the person at the party who tells a funny story and makes everyone laugh. But often, learners get stuck in the grammar trap while telling a story. They try to use complex past perfect continuous tenses, and they lose the rhythm of the story. I want to introduce you to Liam. Liam had a funny story about a time he got lost in a forest. He tried to tell it at a dinner party, but he kept correcting himself. I had been walking. No, I was walking. Wait, I walked. People stopped listening. Liam felt embarrassed. Liam decided to simplify. He learned to use time connectors. These are words like first, then, after that, and finally. These words act like signposts. They tell the listener where the story is going. The next time Liam told the story, he didn't worry about complex tenses. He just used the connectors. First, we parked the car. Then, we saw a strange bird. After that, we followed it. Finally, we realized we were lost. The story flowed like a river. Everyone laughed at the end. The connectors did the heavy lifting. Let's practice these connectors. They are the glue of narration. I want you to practice the phrase, and then something unexpected happened. This is a great hook to keep people listening. Listen to the intonation. And then something unexpected happened. Make it sound dramatic. Now you say it. And then something unexpected happened. Let's practice the ending. Finally, everything worked out. This shows the story is over. Listen. Finally, everything worked out. Now you say it with a smile. Finally, everything worked out. By using these signposts, you can hold the attention of a group. Another major hurdle is the self-correction trap. This happens when you make a small mistake, like saying he go instead of he went, and you immediately stop and say, oh, sorry, I mean he went. Sorry, my English is bad. When you apologize constantly, you are telling the listener, focus on my mistakes. You are highlighting the negative. I want you to stop apologizing for your English. You are learning a complex skill. You don't need to be sorry. Instead of saying, sorry, just correct yourself and keep moving. Or use the phrase, I mean. Let's say you say, I have 2 dogs. You realize it should be dogs. Don't say sorry. Just say, I have 2 dogs. I mean, 2 dogs. It is smooth. It is confident. Let's practice this correction. I went to the store. The bank. Try that. I went to the store. The bank. Do you hear how that sounds? It sounds like you just changed your mind, not like you made a failure. It keeps your status high in the conversation. Now, let's explore the world of small talk. Small talk is very important in English-speaking cultures. It is how we build trust before we do business or become friends. But many students hate it because they don't know what to say about the weather or the weekend. They give one-word answers. Friend, how was your weekend? Student, good. This kills the conversation. We want to use the answer plus detail technique. When someone asks you a question, give the answer and then add one small detail. Friend, how was your weekend? You, it was good. I actually went to the cinema. That small detail, I went to the cinema, gives the other person something to ask about. Oh, what did you see? Let's practice the answer plus detail. I am going to ask you, how are you today? I don't want you to just say fine. I want you to say, I am doing well. I just finished my work. Or, I am doing well. The sun is shining. Ready? How are you today? Answer now. Excellent. That extra sentence is an invitation. It says, I want to talk to you. It opens the door. I want to talk about a character named Sarah for a moment. Sarah was a perfectionist. She refused to speak unless she was 100% sure the sentence was correct. As a result, she almost never spoke. She was waiting for a day that would never come. One day, she watched a child learning to walk. The child fell down, laughed, and got back up. The child didn't think, I am a bad walker. The child just thought, I am learning. Sarah realized she needed to be more like that child. She adopted a mantra. Connection, not perfection. I want you to adopt this mantra too. Connection, not perfection. When you speak, your goal is to connect with another human soul. If you use the wrong verb tense but you make them smile, you have succeeded. If you forget a word but you show them kindness, you have succeeded. Language is just a tool for connection. Let's practice a phrase that helps you connect when you don't understand the culture or the context. Maybe everyone is laughing at a joke you don't get. It is okay to ask. You can say, I am not familiar with that. Could you explain it? This shows you are curious, not stupid. Listen to the tone. I am not familiar with that. Could you explain it? Now you say it. Be curious. I am not familiar with that. Could you explain it? This turns a moment of confusion into a moment of cultural learning. We are deep into the practice of real-world scenarios now. I want to touch on one more: directions. In the age of smartphones, we rely on maps, but sometimes batteries die. Sometimes you need to ask a human. And understanding directions is harder than asking for them because people speak fast. Go left, turn right at the bank, go past the post office. It is too much information. The trick here is to chunk and verify. Do not let them give you the whole map at once. Stop them after the first step. Stranger, go down this street, turn left, then go past. You. Wait. Go down this street and turn left, correct? Stranger. Yes. You. Okay. What is next? You force them to break it down for you. You are in charge. Let's practice this verification phrase. So, I turn left here. Is that right? Listen. So, I turn left here. Is that right? Now you say it. So, I turn left here. Is that right? This technique ensures you never walk in the wrong direction for 20 minutes. It saves your feet and your confidence. I want to leave you with a vision of your future. Imagine it is 1 year from today. You have listened to English in Fluency every week. You have practiced your repetition. You have kept your garden watered. Imagine you are traveling. You are in an airport, or a hotel, or a meeting. Someone asks you a question in English. And without panic, without a racing heart, you just answer. You don't think about grammar rules. You don't translate in your head. You just speak. And then you laugh, and you connect. That version of you is waiting for you. That version of you is cheering for you right now. To get there, you need to set a goal. But not a big, scary goal like become fluent. That is too vague. I want you to set a SMART goal: small, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. A SMART goal looks like this. I will listen to 1 podcast episode every Tuesday for 1 month. That is a goal you can win. Or, I will learn 5 new vocabulary words every Friday. When you set small goals and you achieve them, you build trust with yourself. You prove to yourself that you can do it. Let's practice stating a goal. I want you to fill in the blank. Next week, I will think of something small. Maybe read 1 page. Maybe watch 1 video. Next week, I will say it out loud. Commit to it. Next week, I will practice my English. Next week, I will record my voice. Whatever it is, make it real. We are coming to the end of our time together, but I want you to know that this is a safe space for you to return to. You can listen to this episode as many times as you need. In fact, I encourage you to. Remember Kenji, who watched the movie scene 20 times? Be like Kenji. Listen to this until you can say the words along with me. Listen to it until my voice becomes your inner voice. That is how you build the bridge. Thank you. Thank you for trusting me, Alex, to be your guide. Thank you for trusting English in Fluency. But most of all, thank you for trusting yourself. You did the work today. You showed up. And that is the only thing that matters. If this session helped you, if you feel a little lighter and a little more confident, please do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel so we can stay connected. Like this video so other learners can find it. And if you are feeling brave, write a comment below. Introduce yourself. Say, I am an English speaker. Let the world know who you are. Go out there and make mistakes. Go out there and be messy. Go out there and speak. The world is waiting to hear your voice. Until next time, keep repeating, keep building, and keep flowing. I am Alex, and this has been English in Fluency. Goodbye for now.